Hello viewers, once again you are welcome to Legacy Channel Africa. Thank you for being part of us. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. My name is Nsubuga. As usual, we have come this moment to discuss yet another important program or topic about something you may have not taken trouble to think about. We want to discuss something to do with batteries or cells. Batteries or cells, and a simple heading like a secondary cell. Like a secondary cell. There are two types of cells or batteries. We have primary cells or primary cells, and then we have secondary cells. Primary cells are the common batteries or cells which we already know. And the common cells we used to use in those torches we used in the olden days, which were not rechargeable. We would buy some batteries or some dry cells, and then we would fix in the torches or the radios, and then we would have light or the programs would go on. Those were called the primary cells. I have an example here. I have this. When you look at this battery and this battery, the makers are different, but the function is the same. This is called Panasonic Hyper dry cell or battery. This is called the Tiger Head, actually named the Super Quality Battery. They are batteries, but the science name is cells. These are primary cells. Primary cells. Primary for reasons we are going to see. I have another example here. I have, when you look at this radio set, in it, in order for this radio set to play, it must have a cell or a battery. This is the one I'm trying to disengage right now. This is the battery or cell. The same can also be used in a phone which carries a size like this. This is called a battery or a cell. But the difference between this one and the other, this is a secondary cell. This one is a secondary cell. For a reason we are going to see. They're all cells or batteries. The functions are different. I have another example here. We have this one here. It is a battery or a cell. This is used in a computer. It is a computer battery. It is another example of a secondary cell. Secondary cell. We have this one here. It is a charger charging our phones. When the other phone battery is going low, we use this portable charger to keep it on. These are examples of secondary cells. We have some other examples I have not carried here. Let's take an example we well know of a car battery. It is another secondary cell. I have now come to the point of distinguishing between primary cells and secondary cells. Primary cells are cells or batteries, but the difference is they are not rechargeable. Unlike secondary cells, whose characteristics, one of them is they are rechargeable, therefore reusable in this case. Once a primary cell is done, is finished, once the power is over, it is done, it is gone. It can be used for other purposes, not for charging or not for in the torch giving us light or to start a radio set, etc. It is gone, and that is all. The children will play about with them, fine. We'll use them for other functions, good. But the secondary cells, unlike the primary cells, have got one good thing, which brings me this moment to discuss. This one good thing is they can be taken back, they can be recharged in power. And once recharged, they can be reused. They can be used again. This is what brings us to a simple topic of discussion this moment. Like a secondary cell. Like a secondary cell. Why do I bring this yet? I'm talking to human beings. We are not cells. Fine, but we want to liken ourselves to cells. Like these secondary cells, which once the power is over, they can be recharged and then reused. Human beings are like secondary cells. There are times when you feel you don't have knowledge on something, when you don't have a know-how on something, or when you are finished, when you are tired. Biblically we are told when we get tired we should move to Christ, to make us rest. I want to bring this. There are times when we need to be recharged spiritually. When you feel fallen, you are no longer standing upright with Christ, and you realize you are not walking well with Him. If you realize it yourself, there are simple things you can do, or we can do, is to rise up. We want to take a simple example of the prodigal son. The prodigal son, as the story told in Luke chapter 15, when he, the Bible says, realized he was now alone, feeding on the leftovers of the pigs. This is a very sad moment. A guy who had come from a wealthy family, he realized, he came to his senses. The Bible says he came to his senses. So he recharged himself. Spiritually, I said. He rose up and moved, going back to his father. Here, the Bible tells us he received a warm welcome and was received back. And a party was organized for him. On just recharging himself, when he realized he had got lost, he had disappeared, he had gone off the track. This is a spiritual recharge. Spiritually, we can recharge ourselves. Socially, yes, when you realize society is not receiving you, is not accepting you because of your conduct. An old person, my age, a person of status, does not attend funerals, does not go to mourn with the bereaved. When you realize society is rejecting you because of this, he speaks vulgar language. There are times you can choose to recharge yourself and get acceptance and get back to be accepted. This by either apologizing to them or begin doing things which the other time you were doing contrary, this time you put proper what was going amiss, to get back into society acceptance. And so many other examples I would give. Economically, financially, we can recharge ourselves by realizing, why is it that all businesses have been trying to touch, to establish, have not been flourishing, expanding? Why? Is it that I am not organized? I am a poor bookkeeper. I don't have language to talk with the clients. You sit back and revise and check yourself and realize what has not been going on so well. By this, one is recharging himself. Sometimes we can recharge ourselves. Like the prodigal son, I said, he came to his senses, the Bible emphasizes. In business, someone can advise, can caution, can counsel and say, well, things are not going on well for you on your side because of this. Your clientele is poor. The way you receive customers, you are not better. You don't wake up early. You don't motivate them. By this, someone will put proper the cards which was misputting, and this will be a recharge. And then we shall regain back normal business. This I said spiritually, I said socially, now economically, but even physically. Physically, you realize you have some back pain, some other pains you cannot clear out so well. And you realize either the eating, feeding habits are not good. The sleeping posture is not good enough. That's why you sustain back aches. You realize you are lazy. So you realize you need physical exercise. You need some press-ups. You need some sit-ups. You need some jogging. This is in the physical aspect. To regain back the lost health. When you are losing health, when you are declining, you are becoming lazy. You want to sleep most of the time. You check yourself and see those things you have not been doing well. You have not been taking enough water. You have not been resting enough. Or when you rest not in appropriate places, or you eat a lot, or you overeat, or you eat in wrong time intervals. By this, we recharge ourselves, I said, in the health aspect, in the physical aspect, in the spiritual aspect, in the social aspect, then economic and financial aspect. We are like secondary cells. A human being is not a primary cell, which is used once and that is all. A human being born bad can become good only when we realize where things were not going on well for us. And then you sit down to outline why things have been going amiss. I want to end with this. What then can we do to be recharged so that we can be reused. What then can we do to accept that maybe things were not going on well? We need a recharge so that we can be reused. What can we do? I have been giving a simple piece of advice and counsel. Sometimes we can move up and look around for people who are better than us. The other day I said, people who matter are those you need in the aspect you want to touch. In the business aspect, I want to establish a poultry project. The people who matter in this aspect are not the garage mechanics, not really, are not the masons, not at all, are not the history physics teacher, not at all, but one who has ever established, or who is doing this actual business, who has done it and it has flourished, who started from small scale and is now somewhere in a bigger scale. These are the people who matter. By doing this, by going to them to consult them or to consult with them, we are recharging ourselves, and then we shall get back to be reused. I said the human being is not a primary cell. It's not like a primary cell, but a secondary cell, which can be recharged. The car battery, I said, can be taken somewhere to charging machine and it is recharged. And then when you take it back to the car, it is better than it was. The computer battery, plugged in power, it can be recharged and then the computer will regain, which was losing power, which had gone off. The phone battery, taken back, plugged in power, can be recharged, or in this moving charger, and then we shall get back to the use of the phone. Have you realized those areas where things were declining on your side, were not going well, and you need to sit back and outline and establish and contemplate why things were not going well? Let me talk to those who go to school, those who study, now called the students. You have not been performing well, but have you ever sat down to ask yourself why? Have you ever risen up to go to the teacher and ask why you are not attaining marks? There's an example we know of those 4 guys who suffered from leprosy, who had been excommunicated in society and would not go back to where they came from and would not go ahead, because ahead were enemies who would kill them. But even where they came from, they would not be accepted. When they had sat somewhere for quite some time, one brought a suggestion: why don't we rise up and we go to face the enemies, either to be killed at once, because even when we remain here, we shall be killed anyway. We may die of hunger. It's better we rise up and go and face them. If they will forgive us, then we shall be forgiven. If they don't forgive us, then let them kill us for at least once and for all. It was good news for them when they took this advice. I am bringing this to say, recharge yourself. Never sit back with a problem, with a failure. The other day I said, failure is not failure until one fails to rise up when he falls. Failure is not failure until one fails to rise up when he falls. All successful people in academics, in business, spiritually, are people who have ever experienced failures, are people who tried several times and have been failing. We are told of a story of the guy who invented the bulb, electric bulb, that the guy made 999 experiments or trials. All of them were blowing. When he was almost giving up, he called his 14 friends, the story says, and told them, I am going to die a disappointed man, a very disappointed man. He gave reasons. I have made 999 trials or experiments, all of them blowing. Let me give up, but disappointed. They beckoned him and requested him to make one more trial. By this, they were recharging him. I said they beckoned him, they requested him earnestly. And he told them, I am making this one more experiment or trial only for you. If it fails, I will have given up and will be contented. It is said that the guy went back, sat down and wrote all the steps, the processes he had gone through for the previous experiments. He wrote them keenly, and he decided to do one more trial. such that he could give up when he was contented. The good news is this one more trial he made reluctantly because of the request of his friends is the bulb we have today. Actually, what we have today is a modification of what this guy invented. It gave light. It was tested for 14 days. Those are 2 weeks. When it was not blowing, he called back the other same group and he told them, I am going to die a very pleased, happy and satisfied man. After 1,000 trials, making experiments, finally I've come up with this. He showed them the bulb. I have tested it for 14 days. It has been giving constant light without blowing. And I've written down the steps. What am I trying to emphasize, to stress? What I'm bringing to you, dear viewers, my good friends, is human beings, me and you, are like secondary cells. A secondary cell, once the power goes low or is done, it is taken back and recharged, and then it is reused. We are like secondary cells. When you realize you cannot do something well or better, you rise up and go look out for good literature. I want to outline the sources where we can get to and then get recharged. One, the literature. There are some books which matter in life. The books which matter in the aspect you want to do. Spiritually, we get to the holy books, the spiritual books. We get to the Bible. We go to the Holy Quran. We get to the hymn books. We get to the catechism and other such spiritual books to get spiritual recharge, such that we become better, we stand better with our God. That is in the spiritual aspect. In the business and economic aspect, there are people we must rise to. One of the local artists said he moved to one rich gentleman, Mr. Chirumira, and asked him, this was the singer called Bobby Wine, how do you do it, Mr. Chirumira? He said, well, he told him the steps, how he saved, how he lived a life, a humble life without being extravagant, adding coin by coin, bit by bit, business by business, trying A, B, C, D, F, G. There are 26 alphabets. Why is it that when your plan A fails, why do you stop there? Why do you declare that you have given up? Why do you call yourself a failure? Why? We are like secondary cells. Sit back and recharge yourself. Outline, realize why things were not going well. In academics, I said, rise up and do more prep, do more consultation, do more discussion, do more research, make more exercises, make more trials. Befriend the teacher, befriend the students who are better than you. I am talking about to students of all levels, who know where they are going. Rise up, don't sit back. The other guys who suffered from leprosy did not keep there. They had to recharge themselves. When they got there, what happened? Good news, I said. The enemies thought it was a big group who were coming, so they ran away and left the tents with all things, gold and silver, food, money, etc. These guys sat and ate. But the good thing is that they also realized need to recharge others. They said, if we keep this good news to ourselves throughout the whole night, it will be bad. They went back and alerted the other friends they had left behind. Those were their enemies, actually, so to say. And he told them there is something good here. The enemies ran off. They thought it was a big group coming to attack them. So when we went, we found tinned beef, tinned fish, we found money, found gold, pieces of silver, etc. Here we are. Please let us go and enjoy. What am I trying to say? After recharging yourself, you need to recharge others. How do we do it? By seeking good counsel from professional, experienced counselors. Seek advice from the people who matter. Consult literature, good literature, the books which matter. And read them with purpose. Go to people who are experienced in the aspect you want to carry on, the business you want to carry on. By this, we are recharging ourselves. It is very dangerous to sit back with a failure, with a problem. It is very dangerous to park. The other guy who was hated in the Bible did not sit down and park on his past. Some people read the writings and misread them. I was told of some tribe, when the writing is written somewhere, no parking, they read it in their own style, no parking. It is not good to park. Never park. We are like secondary cells who can recharge ourselves or who can be recharged, and then we get better. You can get better spiritually by realizing where you are not going wrong, the things we are not doing right, then rise up and go to God. It is very simple. He will close the old file and open a new one, and we become new creatures. It is true. Biblically, we are born bad. We inherited our grands, Adam and Eve, who are sinners. So by that we are born bad. But we are not like a duck which cannot become chicken. No, not at all. We are people who can sit and realize our faults and then see how to correct them. One step we can do in correcting our weakness, spiritually, socially, academically, physically, health-wise, and financially, is by realizing the problem. And 2, not running away from the problem. And 3, knowing, calculating the steps which we are going to use to solve the problem. By this we can recharge ourselves. We are like secondary cells. We can be recharged. We can charge ourselves and become better and become useful again. Only we need to realize this and to know which steps we are going to take and which people are going to help us in the process. Thank you so much, dear viewers. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. We beg you and ask you to subscribe. Thank you, Legacy Channel Africa. May God continue blessing us.